What's up, people? What is up? So this is your boy, the non-lawyer, coming back at you again. Coming back to do another video on the Rkelly situation. Now, everybody knows he's been convicted. Everyone that basically supports him are at the point where, they're really upset and they want to see this man go free. And, we basically believe it's just a bunch of nonsense. And as you can see, some from the other videos that I've done, his music sales have gone up. His streaming count has gone up. Everybody's making money off this guy. I just think it's crazy of how you can be worth billions, but not be able to afford a lawyer. So, this whole situation is just crazy. And I just wanted to go ahead and do a really quick video on what he can do to basically try to reverse this situation, right? So I have before me the federal rules of criminal procedure. And these are the rules. These are the rules to the game. This is what the court must follow when it comes down to playing the game. This is the rules that the government must follow when it comes down to playing this game. And this is the rule that you must follow if you're a litigant or if you're in Rkelly's position. You're going to have to follow these rules. So, you know me, you know how I do it. I always come with the facts. So basically, I come with the facts and then I give my opinions and my arguments based off the facts. But all my videos, most of the time, they're going to include the facts. And that's what we're going to look at. So one of the things that people are talking about is what Rkelly is going to argue on appeal. And my position on this is that before you run an appeal, there's a lot of other things to be done or could be done. You don't necessarily have to go straight for the appeal, or you don't have to necessarily rely on the appeal as a Hail Mary. There's lots of other plays that can be ran here way before you get to the point where Rkelly is going to appeal. And dare I say it, right? If the courts decide to act fair, there's a chance that Rkelly could actually walk free without even appealing, right? There's a chance, a small chance. Call me crazy. If you think I'm crazy for saying this, comments below. Let me know that you think I'm crazy and let me know why. But let me explain why I say what I say. So again, we have before us the rules of the game. These are the rules that everybody must follow when they go and they play the legal game. And this is for criminal procedure, right? So we've already been, or Rkelly has basically been through most of this. So the phase that we're in now is that we're in the post-conviction procedure phase, right? So I've already talked about the sentencing and judgment, and I've already talked about the pre-sentencing report. If you haven't heard me talk about that before, I'll put a link in this video. Maybe it'll appear at the top, but more than likely I'm going to be lazy and it'll just be at the end. But I'll just summarize it. Long story, the sentencing phase is this phase whereby you get a probation officer, and a probation officer makes this long report, and then you get a chance to rebut the report, and you get a chance to say the things that you want to say, and you get the chance to add the things that you want in the report. So essentially, this phase is about sentencing, and it gives you a chance to try to reduce your sentence, right? And then at some point, the judge reads the report, he listens to you, and then he basically puts in his sentencing. Now, I'm not going to go through all that again because I've already done it in several videos. I'll try to add them. I just want to say that this is the phase at which Rkelly could potentially try to get little to no jail time, right? Is that possible? In my opinion, yes, it's possible, right? Because in one scenario, one universe, one hypothetical, let's say it this way, one hypothetical situation is Rkelly could come out and he could say, you know what, I can't really agree that I, did certain the things that they're saying that I did to those women. But what I can say is that I agree that many of those women probably had a different experience than what I thought they had. And I can see how some of them could have come away hurt, right? And because of that, I'm truly sorry. If you spent time with me and you left feeling hurt, or you left feeling abused, or you left feeling as if I've taken something away from you, I deeply apologize for that, because that was never really my intention. My intention was basically to make, the people that I spent time with, my intention was to make them happy. My intention was to show them a nice time. I never meant for any harm to come to them. Again, I don't necessarily agree with all the allegations against me, but I can agree that there's a chance that, people would have been hurt, or the women. I'm not even gonna go down to people because I don't think he was messing around with guys, but there is a chance. I can see how many of the women that I dated, they could have had a bad experience from the dating relationship. And again, for that, I am truly sorry. But with that said, there is no reason for me to, get the jail time that these guys are asking for. And as it comes down to my addiction, right? Because there's an allegation out there that he has an addiction. As it regards to my addiction, I spoke to my lawyers. I spoke to several psychologists. These are the programs that they recommended me to go to. And I'm also going to, seek help from these programs. And I'm also going to get assigned a psychologist to, help me, with these urges, or help me with this situation. And because of that, me personally, I never really thought I was a threat to anyone. And I'm not going to agree that I was a threat. And this is where it gets tricky, because the more you disagree with the actual judgment, the more of a chance of the judge or the court just being like, nah, this dude really hasn't learned his lesson. As a matter of fact, there was someone actually interviewed Faith Rogers, and I'll probably try to cut her interview into this, right? I'll try to cut her interview into this. And she basically is claiming that he can't be rehabilitated. So he had actually, and you know what? Maybe that was actually a calculated interview, right? Maybe it's calculated because they want to get his victims' statements out there, and they want to basically show you how they feel. And this is what they're going to say at the pre-sentencing report. They're going to say things like this, right? So those are things to keep in mind. But I would just say that I'm seeing a psychologist, I'm seeing a doctor, and honestly, you know what? I don't think I was a serious threat, but just to make sure, I'm just going to see a psychologist. I'm going to see it, seek to get help. I'm going to seek to get treatment, and I'm going to guarantee that this situation will never, ever, ever, ever happen again, right? So those are things that he could say, and then of course the alleged victims are going to come out, and then they're going to give their testimony, and they're going to say the total opposite. He could get crafty with this, right? He could get crafty, and he could direct his statement towards the actual alleged victims, right? And he could basically try to connect with them, and because I'm not sure the order in which people are going to speak, but he could try to connect with them. And if he speaks before them, he could try to persuade them, through that connection, that he's truly and genuinely sorry. Now, even though we all know that a lot of these allegations are a bunch of bull, but he can still try to relate to them and say, hey, look, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry that this all ended this way, right? Because I personally believe that a lot of these people are just disgruntled that the relationship ended, and they're disgruntled that the money stopped coming. And if there's any chance of connecting, this would be the chance of connecting one last time with the victims, and just saying, from the heart, that you're sorry that things ended this way. I wish I could, go back in time and do things differently. Unfortunately, I can't. But this is what we're left with, and I just want to let you know from the heart, I'm truly, truly, genuinely sorry that you left out of this hurt. I'm really sorry for that, right? So those are the type of things that he can say. And at that point, the alleged victims can, totally disregard whatever he says, or if he makes a connection, they'll soften their victim impact statement, or if they've already spoken, it can make the judge and the public kind of give consideration with the sentence, right? So that's one possibility. Now, of course, people are saying that he shouldn't even cooperate with the pre-sentencing procedure because of the very reason which I basically pointed out, is that they want you to allocate guilt, or they want you to basically say that you're guilty. And that's typically one of the ways that you're going to get a reduced sentence, by genuinely accepting that you're guilty. And in this situation, I can imagine for R. Kelly, it's going to be really, really, really tough because a lot of this stuff from our, from my eyes at least, is a bunch of nonsense and is just 100% BS. But on the same token, you're in this situation, you have to make a decision or whether you're going to wave the white flag or you're going to keep fighting. And that's basically what this is, in my opinion. I think that if he's done anything wrong and he knows he's done certain things wrong, he should just go ahead and apologize for that. But again, on the same token, if you feel like I feel, whereas this entire case is just 100% BS, he can make the decision to say, nah, I'm not going to cooperate with this whole pre-sentencing report, and I'm not going to allocate guilt, and I'm not going to basically say that I'm guilty. Forget this. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to fight this. I'm not participating in this. Do your worst. He could take that route, but that's going to be kind of tough because I've done other videos which talks about the potential time that he could get. And, that time is just outrageous. Again, me personally, I think they're going to try to give him some Larry Nassar time. They're going to try to give him some nasty time, y'all. They're going to try. They're going to try to give him what's that guy's name who the who had the group named the Nawubians or something like that. They're going to try to give him multiple life sentences, right? So it's a tough situation, y'all. So you really have to decide up front, if you're in this situation, if you're going to wave the right flag, and you do that by saying, essentially saying you're guilty, or leading to say something like that. Questions and comments below. Comments below. Let me know how you guys would handle the pre-sentencing report. Would you participate and basically admit guilt, or kind of lead towards guilt or something like that? Or would you just not participate at all? Would you do something a little bit craftier? Let me know what you would do in that situation, right? Comments below. So that's that part. Then there's also the portion where you can, let me get to the next page. There's a criminal forfeiture procedure. I'm not going to go through that now. I have several videos that talks about it. Basically, this is the part where they take your money. I'll try to put a link in the videos where you can see all the details if you haven't seen that. And then there's this, the new trial, right? So the new trial actually becomes a little bit interesting. Let's just go ahead and take a look at what some of this entails. So it says granting a new trial, and then it says the successor judge may grant a new trial if satisfied that a judge other than the one who presided at the trial cannot perform the post-trial duties, or a new trial is necessary for some other reasons, right? So there's lots of reasons out there that could lead to a new trial. Now, one of the things that could possibly lead to a new trial, and that's why I say that R. Kelly may not have to appeal this. He may not even have to appeal, right? So let me take this let me take a step back. One thing that Rkelly could do, right, in the same stroke of asking for the new trial, or maybe right before he asks for the new trial, he can actually file a motion to vacate the judgment, right? So I think it talks about this somewhere in here, but I can't find exactly where. But he can file a motion to vacate the judgment, right? So along with that, or slightly before that, he can file what's called a habeas corpus. And habeas corpus is Latin, and I'm probably going to screw this up, but forgive me, is Latin for let's have the body or give up the body or something like that. But basically, it's a motion whereby a petition whereby you're going to court and you're saying this man is wrongfully imprisoned. And one of the reasons that you can ask for a habeas corpus is because you had ineffective assistance of counsel. Now, I have seen channels out there. I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to go into great detail on that, but I have seen people come out and they said Deverell Canick was garbage, right? They said he did a horrible job. And they basically cited several reasons. One of the reasons that they cited, and you guys let me know, how good do you think Deverell Canick was? Do you think he was lousy, miserable? Do you think he was just horrible and Rkelly would have been better off with a public defender? Or do you think he's done great? Now, I've heard people say that he did an awesome job. And I've heard people say that, he was lousy, so you guys let me know if you could go into details of, what you thought of Deverell Canick's performance. Now, with the habeas corpus, if what some of the things I'm hearing is true, they're saying that he fell asleep several times at trial. And in my mind, if you're sleeping at trial, you don't have the opportunity to actually be effective because you can't even catch what's going on because you sleep. So how in the world are you going to fight a case when you're off in the corner asleep somewhere? So if it's true that he spent a significant amount of time in court asleep, not paying attention, dragging, his butt, then this is going to be a bona fide reason to get a new trial. Another thing that I'm hearing is that he didn't prepare for this trial. I don't know if any of these allegations are true. Again, everything that I'm saying or have said is alleged. I have no way to prove this. I have no way to corroborate this. These are just rumors. I don't necessarily believe them, but I'm just reiterating the rumors now because we're talking about the habeas corpus. Now, so one of the things that they're saying is that they're saying that he didn't prepare for the trial. And they highlighting the fact that the government brought in a huge number of witnesses and Deverell Canick is bringing in less than a handful of witnesses. And if it's true that he basically did less than what was required of him professionally in terms of preparation, in terms of, getting witnesses in and basically getting people in to testify. And I'm told that he was given a significant budget to get these people in. And if it's true that he underprepared for the trial, then in my opinion, that's going to be a strong case for a habeas corpus. Now, let's be clear. The habeas corpus is actually going to get Rkelly out, right? Then, in addition to that, Rkelly would also ask for a new trial. And essentially, when he asks for the new trial, he's going to list the same reasons that he listed in the habeas corpus, which is his lawyer was asleep for half the trial. Again, I don't know if that's true. I don't even think it's true. I'm just throwing it out there as a hypothetical. And you're going to list that the lawyer didn't really prepare for the trial and, things of that nature. You're going to basically list the poor performance of your lawyer and the request for the new trial, and also in the request to vacate the trial. So if I understand this correctly, R. Kelly would be asking that the judgment be vacated. He would be asking that the he get the habeas corpus, and the habeas corpus is going to get him out of prison. And he's going to be asking for a new trial, thereby resetting everything and starting all over from scratch. And this is why I say that you don't necessarily, or R. Kelly doesn't necessarily have to rely on just the appeal. He can actually do these things right here, right now, right? Way before the actual appeal. Now, I've heard other lawyers say that you really want to be careful with asking for the new trial or the habeas corpus and things of that nature, because you're basically telling the opposing side what your arguments are going to be for the appeal, right? And, of course, this is coming from a lawyer. I respect a lawyer's opinion in this matter. And for the most part, I guess R. Kelly would just have to make a decision. Another thing that I find about the request for a new trial is that if you forgot to bring anything up in court, you can actually ask for the new trial and list those reasons in the new trial. And basically, that's going to set you up for the appeal. So let's say there was something extremely critical in the trial and you just totally forgot it because of all the stuff that was going on. Well, you can request a new trial. And in requesting for the new trial, you put that information in so you get a chance to argue it. Then when you appeal, you bring that up on appeal, right? Whereas if you don't put that information in, right? Let's say you forget some critical information and you never get that information on the record. When it comes down to the appeal, you're not going to be able to argue the information because you never brought it up in the trial court. So any arguments that you don't bring up in trial court is basically waived on appeal. You can't make those arguments on appeal. So if nothing else, R. Kelly could ask for a new trial just to get additional information or arguments on the record so that he can use it on appeal if anything was left out. So what do you guys think? Do you think R. Kelly has a chance of actually getting a new trial? Do you think he should even try to get a new trial? Me personally, I think the new trial is worth it because it's just one extra I guess tool you have in the bag, or it's one extra shot you have to defeating this unfair sentence, right? So me personally, I would take it, right? So who knows, he may get a lucky blow in and they may give him a new trial, and yeah, and he gets a chance to basically walk free. So I would actually take it. Now, being a little realistic, you can kind of see how the chips were stacked purposely against him, and more than likely they're not going to grant this. But if you don't ask, you don't get it. Bottom line. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that you would actually go through the motions of trying to get the habeas corpus to vacate the judgment and asking for a new trial? Or do you just conserve your energy, conserve your resources, and wait for an appeal? Now, one of the tricky things about all this, and again, I don't know what R. Kelly's finances are. I don't know how he's doing financially. I've actually made videos on whether or not people should donate to R. Kelly directly, or whether or not they should get kind of a trustee to basically handle R. Kelly's donations. Because one of the things that's going to happen, and I'm pretty sure this is going to happen, I don't mind admitting when I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure what's going to happen is that they're going to try to take every single dime that he has. And I talk about that in other videos. I'll try to link that to the end of this video. And basically, it's part of the criminal forfeiture proceedings. And basically, like I said, I'll try to link it to this other video. So if they're going to take everything he has, right, and I think the criminal forfeiture proceeding is going to be either slightly before this or right after this, then he could be stuck in a really sticky situation whereby he won't have any money to actually appeal, right? And he could be forced to take a public defender. Now, if that happens, then it would have made sense for him to actually try to get a new trial, because I think right now there's a slight window open where he could basically still make use of the resources and funds that he has. Potentially, I know they actually froze a lot of his accounts, but there could be a small window open, or he could still have a credit on the books. With Deverell Kinnick, he can ask that that money be transferred to another lawyer, or maybe he's going to ask for a new trial based on some other reasons. Either way, there could be a small window of which he has money, and it's best for him to use that money before that money is taken away, right? Let me know what you guys think. And in that event, it makes sense to ask for a new trial, because after the criminal forfeiture proceeding, he's not going to have any money, or he's going to have very little money to pay the lawyer for the appeal, right? So let me know what you guys think. Do you think R. Kelly should ask for the new trial, uh, if nothing else, purely for the basic principle that he has money now and he may as well use it before it's taken away? Um, then there's also correcting or reducing the sentence. I think I actually jumped the gun and I already talked about that. Let me see here. 1 second. Yeah, I think I already talked about that. Correcting or reducing the sentence. Yeah, so correcting, reducing the sentence. And that's essentially the portion where he participates in the post conviction proceeding. And then, I'm sorry, in the pre sentencing report. And then at some point, he goes before the judge and he gets a chance to say things that could potentially help him reduce the sentence. And on the same token, the victims are going to come out and they're going to say some things. So, and then there's also correcting the sentence based on clerical errors. Maybe they made a mistake when they actually calculated the sentence, so on and so forth, right? And then there's other long shots that he could potentially shoot for. Indicative ruling on a motion for relief is barred by pending appeal. That's no, this is what I want actually. Staying a sentence or disability, right? So this is the last one that I wanted to talk about here. 1 second. So basically, if the defendant is released pending appeal, the court must stay the sentence of imprisonment, right? And then let's talk about that, right? So he can ask, and again, this is a long shot, but again, if you don't ask, you won't get it. And if R. Kelly has any money on the books, he has to start thinking about using that money to his advantage before he gets into a situation where they get to the criminal forfeiture proceedings and they take everything he has. And if he has money on the books now, you guys let me know what you think. Do you think R. Kelly should ask that the sentence be stayed while he appeals? Right? Let me know what you think. Again, this could be a waste of time, simply because, if nothing else, we've seen the unfairness in this case, and we've seen the chips stacked against R. Kelly, and this is all done purposely by design. So they're not going to let him out pending appeal. But again, if you don't ask, you don't get it automatically. It's better to ask and get turned down than to not ask and not have the opportunity to get the chance to go free, right? So again, of course, the basic way of looking at this is that it's a waste of time, and he should preserve what resources he have and use that for the appeal. But the problem with that is that there is a criminal forfeiture proceeding, and I don't know what resources R. Kelly has now, but I do know when they get to that criminal forfeiture proceeding portion, they're going to try to take everything he has. And I can't guess as to what the situation is going to be after that, because he's still going to have fans constantly sending him money, and there could be a period of time of which he'll be able to receive this money, but eventually I think, depending on what the judge awards the for restitution, they could potentially come back and take that money as well, right? So, me personally, I think he should ask for a stay of the prison sentence pending appeal. And with that, I would go back and I would look at all the work that was done when he asked to get out on bail, and I would take that under serious consideration. And I think one of the things that we didn't see when he was asking for bail was submitting a plan to the court to show that he would not be a risk to the general public. And let's face it, like I said, guys, we already know that most of this stuff, a lot of it, all of it is basically BS, right? But he's already been convicted, and you have people coming out as witnesses, and they testified against R. Kelly. So let's face it, he has to basically proceed from this point on as if, not as if, he has to accept the guilty verdict because it is what it is, and he has to work from that position, right? And with that in mind, I would ask for a stay of the judgment pending appeal and ask for bail. And basically, I would submit a plan to show the court that there's absolutely no way that there's a chance that I could violate somebody, right? And you do that by basically showing, or maybe a partial release, right? Partial time in prison, partial time out of prison, right? And the way that would work is that he would be in prison during the night times to sleep, but then in the daytime while he's working on his case. And by the way, that's another good reason to ask for a habeas corpus and to basically ask for an appeal, is that he spent most of his time locked up, and he never really got a chance to work with his lawyers and communicate with his lawyers to present an effective defense. So that's an awesome case for his appeal. So I would basically put in my motion to stay the judgment and to get out on bail, I would just say, hey, look, I'm going to sleep in the prisons at night, and in the daytime, I'll be escorted by the U.S. Marshals, or whatever is appropriate. I'm not sure if you can say that you'll be escorted by the Chicago Police Department, because I don't know if that would just be acceptable. But I would just say, hey, because he's in federal prison, I would just say, how I'll be escorted by the U.S. Marshals, and I'll pay for the service, so on and so forth, right? So you want to go to court and you want to present a plan, and you probably could say in that you won't have any contact with a cell phone, so on and so forth, because they want to know that you're not going to try to go out and contact any of the alleged victims. They want to know that you're not going to go out and you're going to basically harm somebody. And again, we all know that this is BS, but you have to play the game because you're stuck in the game. So you have no choice but to play the game, right? So you need to put a plan to them, right? You need to present a plan. Uh, Another version of that application could be that you would stay at a halfway house where there are guards and they monitor your activity, so on and so forth, right? So, that's the gist of it. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think there's any chance of R. Kelly getting out on bail? Do you think there's any chance of R. Kelly actually getting the judgment vacated? Let me know what you think. Please like, share, and subscribe, and thanks for watching.